It's Speak It Thursday, and it's your girl Shuli. We are back with another conversation. You know what it's all about in the spirit of the West African philosophy of Ashe. We have the power to speak a thing into existence, and that's what this show is all about. That's what our guest is all about today, and we know that there's so much going on in the world. And I'll say, first of all, dear Breonna Taylor, we are so sorry. You deserve better. And I think that this is a charge and a challenge for all of us to really look at what we can do to make this world and to make this space a better place for African American people, people of color. I'm thankful for those who respect Black women, those who respect Black people. What we can do is take our power back. We can decide how we want to spend our money. We can build our own businesses. We can shop with our own people. And I feel like this conversation is very timely and important. Tonight, we have a very relentless entrepreneur. We have Dr. Mario McCoy. He has done some wonderful things. He decided that he was going to build this beautiful, beautiful watch brand. And we're going to talk to him about how he made it happen, not just everyday life building. And he's just out here balling out of control and woke up. He was working on a doctorate while he was doing this. He's doing awesome things. So we're going to bring him on. And we know how we show our love. We do that with our likes. Come on, Dr. Mario McCoy. We're calling you doctor tonight. What are we saying? Dr.
You
Watt?
ain't got. You don't have to. I mean, it was good. It was. I can't stand you. It was good for the introduction, but we don't. I don't really live behind the title. I guess you could say.
Mhm.
So that's cool. Am I good? Are we good with the centering? I need to.
Yes, that's perfect
Wow.
right there.
Okay.
You're good. We see you. Like we see you and we see you. But for real, how are you?
Different day, harder grind. Shoot, we give. I appreciate you. Doing
I
all
see
right.
you
I think your platform is so dope on purpose. Like,
on
got the dropping trees
purpose.
in the background over that. Yes, man. But everything's
Yeah.
good. I can't complain.
So, okay. So are we going to be serious tonight and we're going to talk about this business or we clowning? What we doing?
Have a good balance.
I'm
Authenticity is everything for all your dope.
mhm.
Thinking with Shuey listeners and all your dope following. We're gonna give them some gems along the way.
Okay,
Give them
this is
some
me. I'm
some
holding
dope stuff.
myself down. I'm holding it back. Okay,
Are
Amy
you
Taylor says, "Ooh, watches." So we have people tuning in. Let's see where they're tuning in from. We have Asan Taylor. That's the producer, homie chick right there. We love her. And then we have Mama Gibb is tuning in, and we have Tammy Sun from Lafayette, Louisiana. We have all of these
on deck?
wonderful, wonderful people. But we're gonna get right into it. So you're doing great. You out here balling out of control.
Okay. Speaking into existence.
Yes, yes. But
Speaking into
seriously,
existence.
though, I believe that we are the sum total of all of our experiences, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And with all of that said, who is Mario anyway? I mean, I feel like I know something about your baller status, but who are you?
You don't know why you lying. These people talking about I'm a baller, all these good things. So I appreciate that. I'm born and raised in the north side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Moved to Houston 2014 around there, and I come from a single parent household. My mom raised me. My dad left at an early age. We're dope space right now on purpose, but my story is a bit different. I grew up in the inner city. Milwaukee's one of the most segregated cities in the country, not the state. One of the state like top 10 since the early 2000s, and I was recently home, and you could just tell like the differences between like the poverty line and where we stay as black people as opposed to the affluent communities and all of that. And um, I have an older sister, 12 years older than me. She was illegally blind, so she couldn't drive. So we were thick as thieves like this growing up, and being able to grow up in that type of humble, background. And she was like a second parent, to a fault.
Mm.
And my mom was a social worker. We by no means had a lot of money growing up. So my whole thing was I was always creative. I spent a lot of time alone, just dipping and dabbling in different things. My first love was music. That's one of where Urban Comics pretty much is really birthed from, hip hop culture. And I grew up, in hip hop, grew up rapping. still do. Guess you could say
Got
that.
bars.
And
You got bars.
little bit, and but growing up, was a challenge because you were able to see just the haves and the have-nots, where you come from, and you wanted to make a difference, as far as making a difference in the world with incomparable. I always thought that
Yeah.
in an early age. Like my mom always told me when I was growing up, like she got my first watch. And forgive me if I'm, jumping, but when I was probably like 5 or 6 years old, and she always told me it was man law to never leave the house without a watch. You remember the whole the flip up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle watches that you get from McDonald's? Yeah.
Yes.
My mom used to give me those. She used to give me
That was
those,
that first watch.
and that was the
Okay.
first piece. So being able to see that and reflect on it, and I will always watch her wherever she went. She always had on the timepiece, and that stayed
Wow.
with me, to build up incomparable. So every single piece has a story to it. Every single collection has a story to it. She has her own watch. It's called Miracle because I was a miracle baby. I was actually born 3.5 months premature. I wasn't supposed to live, all that good stuff. So being able
Oh,
to
so that's power in that already, man.
yeah, so they're always just a you were destined to be great type of aspect. So being able to take that and kind of give that back to my mom, and being able to see if people around the world gravitate to it, it's a dope feeling. So that's a little bit about my life.
Woo!
Mm,
So
a little,
much.
a little bit.
Incomparable.
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
us what that means and what that is.
Look at you enunciating it correctly. Look, shout out, bow.
That's
I
what
love,
I do.
wow, you'll speak it, all that good stuff in person. So incomparable really is a feeling in the look. We were built. All of our products are built, designed with excellence, inspired by experience. So
Okay.
being able to have something on your wrist that exudes that confidence, that exudes that influence, is something that I saw within the marketplace, especially with Black millennials. We're the most influential buying, demographic, culture, insert active adverb there, especially with jewelry, fashion, and whatnot, where we had slim representation in that sector. So being able to have a specific name that attaches, who we are to our core as individuals, as
Mm,
resilient individuals, especially everything that's going on in the world today, is something
yes.
that we pride ourselves on. It's something that's one of our key tenets in our particular business acumen and our whole cultural model. So real feeling and a look, so it makes it different. Pretty dope.
So you're a feeling and a look. Got
Once you
it.
see, you see the word incomparable, it's like I'm gonna
Yeah.
take a second look at that. Like, okay, this ain't just your normal run of the mill. Like, you want to wake up and you want to like we exude individuality, creativity, all those dope vibes on purpose. So being able to have a timepiece or just having a comparable product that speaks to that is something that we
Yeah.
love to do. Yep.
So the brand, like you said, it's a feeling and it's a look. Got it. It's a vibe out here.
Wow.
But I'm into meaning. Words have
Mm-hmm.
power, they have meaning. And
Mm-hmm.
then that incomparable, what is the significance of that to you? Like the word in its essence.
The word in its essence, the individuality, the creativity of it.
Okay.
Like even the whole phonetic piece, right? Like we took out the vowels, so you're able to still look at it. And once you enunciate it a couple times, it's like, okay, this is how I feel whenever I wake up. This is how I feel with my fashionable style. This is how I feel. Like everybody, no one person in the world is alike. No matter if you were twin, genetics, all that good stuff. Our own personal makeup is pretty much who we are, as individuals. And
Okay.
to me, realizing that, especially coming from I don't want to say acute, but I'll say different background. Like I knew that like my come up was a bit different. Like going to school, I was one of those individuals that you heard that song Short Bus Shorty before? Old
Were you
song came out the
short?
world.
Was that you? Don't
That was
don't
me.
please don't give me
That was
that
me.
leverage.
But people
Okay.
don't really associate. Like I had classes with kids that was in wheelchairs, disabilities, all that, because I was diagnosed as emotionally disturbed when I was younger. But I
Mm,
was in those classes. So I was probably fourth, fifth grade, somewhere around there, and being able to know that my story was different to now being a doctor. It's like that's that whole individual trajectory to our own growth. So you could be incomparable whether you're a basketball player, whether you're an athlete, whether you're in fashion, whether you're in dope speak success like yourself. And it's a whole, it's a universal type of feeling, and being able to incorporate that with what I've been through and sharing it with the world is everything to me.
I love that. No matter who you are, like you said, we have something great inside of us. And again, those experiences, it's just all a part of our journey. And I see that you're turning that into something impactful, positive, and it's just amazing. And I'm going to tell you real quick my first watch story. So you had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I had this white watch. What is it? Casio, whatever it was. It was a
Oh,
Walmart brand
Casio.
watch. Casio,
Casio.
whatever it is.
Casio.
Yeah, Casio. Hey, I'm trying to be fancy, trying to put a little,
It's all
you
right.
know,
It's all right.
Casio, whatever. Yeah, it was a Walmart brand for sure, but it was the little
Mm-hmm.
digital watch. It was white. It was dope, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved it. And I remember this older chick stole my watch. It was one of
Hurt
those,
your
let me
soul,
see
didn't
your
it?
watch on the, well, this is how she did it on
Mm-hmm.
the playground. It was like, hey, let me see your watch, like let me try it on. And silly little second grade me was like, okay. And then after it
Mm-hmm.
was like, this my watch, punk, like this,
Being
like
all
she
good hearted. Look
literally,
at you.
and she was like, and I was not a fighter, like I'm a lover, not a fighter, but chicks
Mm-hmm.
straight up stole my watch. So hurt.
She hit you with the what size shoe you wear line. Come up off them sneakers. That's so
So
disrespectful.
that's my first watch story. And so can I get a
Mm-hmm.
free watch?
Yeah,
Well,
again,
no, I
we'll converse about that offline. We'll converse.
I'm just acting silly, but I was really for real. That was when I think I was snooping on you, and I saw that about your watch, your
Oh,
first
you
watch
getting
story, and
serious?
I thought about, yes, I had to do
Oh,
my
you getting
research,
serious? Okay.
and I was like, well, my first watch story was kind of traumatic,
That's so disrespectful. She deserved
but
bad
that's
karma.
okay.
Everything here, we're coming to her. Stealing
Yeah,
your
but
watch.
since Talia
Mm-hmm.
Walk, that's the cousin. She's tuning in from Louisiana. She's laughing at me, and I won't say the name of the person who did it because she's actually my Facebook friend now. But that's okay. Look at me, chick. I got watches, and you can't steal my watch.
I don't
But
know, son.
anyway, but seriously though, how do you build a watch brand? Like, well, first of all, why watches? I know you
Mm-hmm.
love them. I know the
Mm-hmm.
backstory, but like when you were trying to think of all of the businesses to start, was it
Mm-hmm.
why watches and how did you build?
Great question. If I'm being completely honest with you, I was a person that's based on the creativity aspect that we talked about, right? I like to be able to put my own 2 cents into fashion. Like it didn't just start with watches. It started with music and then we expanded to apparel and then we expanded to sneakers. Like I had a limited edition, sneaker line with Legacy Stay Forever. And then we made that leap of faith and jumped into watches. I got tired of giving who are now my competitors my hard earned money. And I did about 3 years of
Mm-hmm.
market research, and we looked at what was it there, like what was the area of opportunity, for us as at the core of Black millennials, Generation Z, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, what is what can we make that's going to speak for us? What can we make that we can readily brand identify our personalities, the things that we go through, the things we experience within a timepiece? And how can we do it with advanced, affordable style? So I already knew like the background as far as the differences in movements and fashions and what makes a quality watch a quality watch. So being able to merge those things with, our experiences was just something that came natural
Mm-hmm.
at the surface, but doing the research as far as like what we wear and like how we match it with outfits and things like that, because it's not just a functionality piece, it's more so a fashion piece, it's a statement piece.
Yes.
It accentuates your look. That's why we have our hashtag advance your risk, right? It's a call to action. So being able to have those, important aspects to properly build up a brand was something that, was stuck with me since I was yay high. It wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
something I just was killing at the barbershop and like, like see I'm bald, that's killing the barbershop, get my beard and stuff done. Like, hey,
Don't even
I'm a
do it.
watch line, I'm a star for watch line, because as at the time when I started in Company, with only 12 black owned watch brands in the country, period. Like we're the only black doctor owned watch brand currently. But being able to have that as far as leverage, it's a gift and a curse, right? Because you have to
Mm-hmm.
be on your A game as far as your customer service, as far as, so I don't even like to call my incomparable customers customers. We have a whole incomparable life community that spans
Oh,
from here
nice.
to that spans here to the UK. So being able to be cognizant of how to speak for us and how to speak to us, which is something that was, critical to start the company up.
Oh, no doubt. Because
Hmm.
if somebody, their clasp breaks on their watch and they're reaching out to you
Hmm.
and like, what can you do about this good old watch? Because
Oh Lord.
we'll scandalize your name.
Oh Lord. And I tell people all the time, especially our Compilot community, it is so important to leave reviews. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know how we're building as a brand. Because Honey Pot, I forget her name, but her company is called Honey Pot. It's a
I know what
valiant
you're talking
example
about. Hmm.
that went through, the racial slander pretty much at Target. She spoke for us, and then all of these people just bum rushed the site, bum rushed, her products, and just left the terrible reviews. And it was up to us to really stand up and be like, okay,
Yes.
I got her stuff. She's dope. You can take
Yes.
bad publicity and turn it into something that's great, but it just shouldn't get to that point. You know what I
Correct.
mean? So a lot of Incomparable, we're founded on four different pillars, called our faith pillars. And
What
one
are
of
they?
them, the faith pillars is going to be focus, authenticity,
Okay.
value, and experience. So
Okay.
being able to combine all of those four things whenever we're dealing with, a customer that may have a class issue or just, a shipping issue or just something that may or may not be out of our control, we make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's with warranty return policy. We had a COVID-19 policy and being able to already position ourselves to pretty much box with the big boys is what I call it. And it's just helped our, expansion. And, we're not 5 star ready for nothing. So
I
start
know
dope
that's
on
right.
that.
We love it. Asan Taylor said, "Oh wow, only 12." I know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't even honestly, I hadn't even thought about it, and until your brand, I'll be honest to say, I didn't even know of any other black-owned watch brands.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
somebody said,
it's great
"Who is
ones.
this
It's
chat?"
great ones.
Oh,
Tally and Twine, Spring Break. It's I don't want to forget anybody. Benjamin Banneker. But I had to do research on all of them before, I really jumped out the window with Incomparable because
okay.
everybody has their own particular lane and niche. And it's up to us to erase the stigma that comes with, black owned businesses, whether it's lack of expertise or just lack of care for our, for our community and lack of care for our, prospective and continuing customers. So all that's important.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So then here it's Beatrice Taylor. That's her name, Honeypot.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
the
she
thing.
did.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so she did overcome that hurdle. Now, let's talk a little more about your watches before we get into those elements that are, like you said, you're built on a strong foundation. You came from a strong background, but let's talk a little more about these good old watches. You
Mhm.
have really cute names for your watches. How do you come up? What's the inspiration for, say, for instance, gray sweatpants? Yes,
That's what we got
lady.
on right now. I can't even. There we go. We got on
I
gray
just
sweatpants.
this I'm gonna
Right.
call that gray sweatpants, i.e., or AKA thirst trap.
It is not a thirst trap. What you know? What though? One of my. I'm gonna sound real like cocky. I don't really mean to. One of my undergraduate degrees is in marketing.
Okay.
So being able to be cognizant of combining um, thirst traps within fashion and
Yes.
it makes people go, oh, it's great because typically gray watches don't sell well. But
Hmm.
when you have a good idea behind it, and when we purposely put the marketing and our release dates and things right after Labor Day, right when sweatpants season starts around the country, not necessarily in Houston, because
That's
we
some nuts
don't.
right there. Strategic. That's not
Right.
haphazard. Got it.
Right, right. So being able to have that and like, oh, so I catch a name like Gray Sweatpants. We don't even have any particular pictures at the moment on Incomparable.com that has anybody in gray sweatpants in the watch.
You
We
mean the
just do
watch or the gray
the watch.
sweatpants? Because I'm
Gray
asking for
sweatpants
myself.
themselves. I can't stand under your life. The gray sweatpants themselves. So being able to have a piece and it automatically turns to one of our highest selling pieces. Because every
Yes.
single
See,
incomparable that we make is limited edition. So whether you have like, you buying them for yourself, you a fellow, or if you're a respectable young lady that wants to buy something for bad and be like, rock a lot of gray sweatpants. You look good in gray sweatpants. I got you this incomparable. That
yes.
happens all the time.
Just even
all
the
the
mention of that watch just has me all
time.
like, tell me more
Mhm.
about this. And Toya walks
Boom.
this, yes, gray sweatpants. And a
Mhm.
son Taylor said, very smart marketing move. Love it.
Thank you.
So how is gray sweatpants doing? You said that just came out.
It sold out of it twice. We just restocked it.
Those gray sweatpants. So
It's on
who's buying gray sweatpants? Is it ladies or the men buying these thirst trap watches?
I can't stand none of your life. 62% of our clientele for gray sweatpants are women. 62%. As far
Hmm.
as the men that purchase it, we get a lot of people that are heavy into fitness. They go to the gym or they're on different. Gray sweatpants really helped us to solidify our expansion across the country in colder climates
Got
because
it.
we're like in the Midwest, the East Coast, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, all of those areas. Even in Canada, we have a brand ambassador in Canada that's been on it as far as this particular piece and being able to let people know it's not a common name for a watch, right? That's another
No,
piece
it's
that goes
not.
right. That's a common piece as far as like our black culture and how we view gray sweatpants, right? So, but it's a watch called that. I'm gonna check that out, and it's really like adult fabric, 5/18 water resistance, a quality piece, your paying course movement. So once you get past you know, the wow factor, like you just said, I'm gonna check that out. Okay, it's a
Gray
quality piece.
sweatpants. I need to know
Oh,
more about
I
this
cannot,
watch.
I cannot
So tell me
stand
about
it.
the price points.
Our price point, and here's an important piece that you mentioned about marketing as well. This particular watch right now is $109 on Incompo.com. But for our particular price points and what we use, we take a good, better, and best approach. Kind of like how Apple does with the 3-tier iPhone, and like how
Hmm.
Samsung does with their 3 or 4-tier Samsung phones. We like to have, we believe in providing advanced, affordable style, right? So being
Okay.
able to make sure that we have different price points for different pieces, just different like leathers and mesh band watches and stainless steel and women's petite ceramic collection and all of that. That's important in making sure that we're competitive with our you know, the other brands is what we'll say.
The
So
other
that's
brands.
the other,
Yes.
the other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just drop this really quickly since we're talking about your watch. We're going to tell the people
Wow.
to visit you there at Incomparable. That's the letter N, the letter C, the letter MPRBL.com
Get that,
to check
get
it
that
out.
pre-roll
That gray
on too.
sweatpants is cute though. No,
Yeah.
no lie.
It's
It's
a
a
unisex piece. It's a unisex piece. You know what's crazy? From a lot of our and copper life community that are women. So when we gonna get a yoga pants watch, I'll be like, oh my god.
stop. I don't
Because
know. It
that's
doesn't have the same appeal, does it?
it. But for us as men,
Ah,
as
got it. I see what
men,
you're saying. I'm
we
seeing it very one
definitely,
sided.
yeah, it's a
But what
different
would
ball.
yoga pants look like though?
Yoga, it would really be contingent on, it would be a lighter color because it's more like a
Mm,
neon type of thing whenever we think of yoga pants in the gym or something like that. So it
yeah.
would So it would be released at a different time. It would be released at a different because at Incomparable we aim to come out with pieces. We don't readily reproduce everything that we quote unquote sell out of because everything's in the
Okay.
edition. So with the psychologies of color, that's the thing that's important with marketing too, right? With
Got it.
psychologies of color, we look at different, what colors are people wearing aside from watches in fall, spring, summer. We're going to accentuate and advance your whole look. So something with neon will probably be spring, summer,
Okay.
somewhere around.
I did see a cute pink one. Tell us tell us about 42. So I think too what a part of what you're doing is activism, like you're showing up great in the marketplace. Like you said, it's a quality product, but there's also meaning behind, which is a creative thing. There's meaning behind what you do. But didn't you do a watch? Was it the 42? What was the name of it? The Jack was it
Prolific
a Jackie Robinson? Okay.
mm-hmm. Jackie Robinson, Nipsey Hussle, Prolific 42. Mm-hmm.
Ah, got it.
Mm-hmm. You
Okay,
want me to talk about it? You want me to give a little synopsis about Prolific 42? Mm.
please.
We can do that. Well, so with Prolific 42, uh, it was inspired by Jackie Robinson and Nipsey Hussle. It has like the Dodger blue face in it, and it has the old Brooklyn Dodgers colors is like an off white. So we use what you said, leggings white. I think about
Yeah.
that. Uh, We have the Brooklyn Dodger, kind of like the silver, the off white. So we use those to kind of combine both age demographics we were looking at. Typically, people that are familiar with Jackie Robinson's stories, being the first African American to break the color barrier in baseball, as opposed to Nipsey Hussle, late LA legend. There's different age demographics that kind of merge with that, right? So that became one of our highest selling pieces because of those two stories, and we donated percentage of it. We're starting a creative conform scholarship fund. As you know, as a doctor of education, is kind of important to me. That will be launched in May of 2021, and we're looking at 2 locations. But with that, we were able to donate a percentage of sales towards that to help an individual who's looking to advance into education, entrepreneurship, and merging those things as well. So that kind of has like a triangular. You're getting me into my doctor mode now. It kind of has like a triangular method, to that particular piece. So it's sold all around the world. It was super dope. I loved it, and it's available now on Snapple.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love that. Toya Walk says, "I need that 42 watch." And
Wow.
yeah. And back there, Paula's son said, "A leggings watch." Yes. But real quick about the 42 watch, definitely let us know how we can support. I think, like you said, that scholarship fund, where activism, we learned this from one of our other podcast guests, that activism is something that we can do every day.
Agreed.
All day, every day. Now, we're going to back up to a question because we're going to go a little deeper. So we've learned all about your watch brand and its dopeness, but I want to know more. And I think it's important for people to know more about the person behind the brand, because we have people out here who are pursuing purpose and they have their dreams, and we have to talk about that. But first, let's see. So Haley Rice says, "Dr. McCoy," I'm going to call you from here on out, Dr. Sweatpants. Dr. Gray Sweatpants, do you go back and speak to students, especially those that are or where you used to be, where you started?
Oh, of course. Being from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that's where I actually started. As far as I was a non-traditional student, so to kind of unpack this question, right? Great question. I was a non-traditional student. I went to school, dropped out, went back at 23. I got my undergraduate degree at 27, my master's at 28, and I got my doctorate this past fall. So being able to go back and speak to the students and really be authentic in my approach is really something that they're able to be like, okay, he looks like me. He's from where I'm from. I still have the same type of vernacular. I still have the same type of, I walk into every room as myself. It doesn't matter if I'm speaking to somebody that's like Fortune 500 or somebody that's, a 16-year-old that I have to go into class and be like, I was you, a decade plus ago. They're able to receive that information differently. And it's fulfilling because we didn't have those type of individuals that would come to our institutions, that come to our place of work, growing up, that have these credentials to be like, I believe you because you come from where we come from and you look like us. It's the difference between coming from where you're coming from and look like us, and looking like us and not being in touch with reality. So being able to, do that is something, it's what actually made me go back to school and finish up the doctorate. Because as you know, Shirley, when you're able to step into the room with different types of credentials, people look at you differently. I'm able to go into, different rooms and yeah, I got a doctorate from one of the top 10 universities in the country. Oh, where'd you go? That's automatically. Maybe you could come speak to the students. And then it's, okay, wow, let's get it.
Got it. So tell them that top 10 university. I think that is noteworthy.
I went to University of Southern California. I received my doctorate in organizational change and leadership.
Okay. And how is that helping you? You said that earlier. You said now I'm bringing that into what you were talking about with your watches and what you're doing. So how have you married the two, having a doctorate and having this dope watch business?
It's more so, in my mental, it was more so a method of kind of closing a gap and meeting people where they are, giving them a product to where, I can utilize the business piece and the marketing degrees and all of that. But the whole educational aspect, if he knows what he's talking about, he's going to give us quality because he's meticulous in his own right. It's different. Like with being, and with your platform, you can't even spell nothing wrong at this point. like you have to enunciate everything. So being able to have that as like a backdrop for building that trust with people. You know, as people tend to say, "Oh, it's black owned, doctor owned." Like, okay, he must have something that I can be proud to wear. Like, I'm really, and this might be kind of like veering a little bit left, but I always tell. I have a tips and transparency piece that I use on Facebook and LinkedIn. Um, and I talk to fellow entrepreneurs and I talk to students and things just in regular language. And I always tell them to omit the word support when it comes to your business. And I say that because whenever we walk into like Fenty or Gucci or Louis Vuitton or just even if you go to Walmart, you know, things like that, they're not telling you thank you for your support. That's something for like a nonprofit piece, right? That's something if you're trying to reach a specific goal or, you know, if you need to get something that's done to further meet a need for something that's outside of your business. But when it comes to your company, it's thank you for your business because you have to be able to have that type of set that tone for that respect that needs to be there at all times.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good old support versus business talk. How did you, how did you learn this or come to this conclusion?
Doing a lot of reading. I have a lot of muses. One is actually my fraternity brothers, Edward Griffin, to Warren Buffett, to Elon Musk, to Gary Vee, to even other black-owned, you know, entrepreneurs like Randy Williams that runs Sally and Twine. To just go into my own personal, you know, customer experiences and just seeing how other small business owners move and operate. When you put your time and your effort, like we're gonna get into a little bit later, like I jumped out the window from corporate America and started in Conqueror. Like it wasn't just something that was like, oh, I was gifted this money to do this. It was something that you took the leap of faith to do. So that's your business. That's your baby. When you got trademarks, LLCs, other partnerships, you know, that's not something to sneeze at. That's gonna be something that gotta be respected on all platforms. Because when you go into these stores, when you wear everything else that's on your body, whenever you buy a vehicle, you're not going into Ford like I support Ford, I support Dodge, I support BMW. You got that X5 because you like it. So,
True.
it's the truth.
True.
So being able
I can't write that off on my taxes.
at all, at all. So being able to be cognizant of that, you know, on your own business helps to, you know, perpetuate that good responsibility piece to the customer and keep that accountability for yourself too.
Your mindset. Your mindset is dope. Again, that relentless pursuit. Oh, somebody has a question. Assan Taylor says, what book would you say got the fire turning for you?
Oh. It's a few books that I'm reading right now. There's a book called F Feelings. I don't know if I can cuss, but it's a book called F Feelings. But I'm not going to. By it's two Bennett. I believe it's Michael Bennett and his daughter, Sarah Bennett. That's a book that keeps that fire burning. But one that got it started, one was 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. That's my marketing aspect.
Say that one more time.
22 Immutable Laws of Branding. Got off
Okay.
Thinking if there's any others, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. And I'm a big Michael Eric Dyson fan. Big Michael Eric Dyson fan. And from a hip hop culture perspective, I'm like the biggest Jay-Z fan ever. So Decoded by Jay-Z was definitely something that made me want to dwell off and just do something really for myself. Because I've always been an entrepreneur, but I was an entrepreneur that worked 9 to 5. Once you're able to see how other people did it, their mindset, how they write, how they carry themselves, like I said earlier, how you walk into every room as yourself, you take those tenets and you build up yourself. So that's it.
All good stuff. And we're talking about staying in your lane. I'm hearing that all throughout. And again, I've watched your journey from as far back as I've known you, which has been a couple of years now. And
about 5.
a couple of years, you know, but you talk about moves before announcements. And I appreciate this because we're in a social media world where it's really a lot about announcements for people. And it's kind of hard to determine who's who, but you've carved out your own lane and you're walking in it. So tell us more about this. What does that mean?
Great question. Really, what moves before announcements? It came from a place like you just said. So we're in a social media driven world, and comparable. Our hub, where we start. We merged the grassroots, which is the pop ups and all that, to build up our relationships. But our home is online. Our home is online. So being able to be cognizant of, I need to make sure that this contract is signed with XYZ company. I need to make sure that these products are posted on this site, because you never know, like glitches and things could happen. People could back out the last minute. You might change your mind. You might catch cold feet when it comes to doing a particular business transaction with somebody. But you already are on Facebook talking about some, let's go. You can't do that because that makes your business look bad. Like that makes everything questionable. You have to earn that trust back from your community, at that point. And of course, nobody's perfect. We forgive Apple and Samsung for blowing up phones damn near every year. So that happens. But being able to be cognizant of that for your own business is something that birth moves before announcements, and it's just something that it took off because it speaks our regular everyday language. Just as people, it extends beyond business. It's just an everyday move as a person. So really
That's
being
true. And then do you feel like that guides you? I mean, is that one of those? Is there a business Mario and a personal Mario, or do you
Mhm.
find that they are intertwined?
They're definitely intertwined. It's
Hmm.
certain codes that you got to wake up and live by, right? As a person, if I'm not a stand up individual, people aren't going to believe my story as a business. You have to be able to have that, like you said, the intertwined piece. You have to be able to make sure that you're able to speak to people on a personable level. Like I even go as far as certain people if they like super. If I know this great energy on like Instagram, Facebook, I will shoot you a personal thank you. You get a personal thank you whenever you buy something from Incomparable, but you're able to see like, okay, he's a real person, or this brand's a real brand. If it's not myself, it's going to be one of my partners. Being able to build up that family like community like relationships is really real, and that just comes from having those types of codes instilled in you as a person to always be respectable, to always give respect, and to always keep yourself 10 toes down, as you say, 10 toes down.
10 toes down. And do
Yes,
you have
ma'am.
any other mantras or things that guide you through this journey called life?
Hmm. One with our company, Creative Form, which is where education meets entrepreneurship. Creative Form. That's everything to me. It inspires individuals to one, not be stagnant, to two, to not succumb to society's views of you as a person. Not succumb to what people think of you as an individual, and to always be able to brush off your mistakes. Every nobody is perfect. I mean, look at 45. That's a whole different political, story. But he's president. Like, so if we look at things from that particular perspective, like if we make mistakes growing up early on for whatever reason, being wrongfully accused of whatever, you don't let those things deter you from achieving your dreams, especially if it's something that has to do with creating. Like I always tell fellow entrepreneurs, never stop creating, never stop, or because it's gonna kill you when you get older. Like when you turn 65 and 70, you're gonna remember the things that you didn't do over the things that you've done. So that helps to create creative perform.
That's dope. And Kalele, he's frat, by the way. He said 10 toes down.
So
Yes.
six to the world below us.
Yes. So do you feel like the dreams that you had as a young boy in Milwaukee, short bus shouty, who is now like Dr. Mario, which is again, I love it. Black
On my way.
educated man, creator of gray sweatpants and all of that good stuff. So for real, but the dreams that you had then, do you feel like you're living that? Where are you in the scope of your dreams?
There's always more to be achieved. Like I'm not a person that I don't rest on my laurels, and I've had that instilled in me from younger 60 second and Hampton Mario. Like never sit there and be like, I did this, I can chill now. It's always we're on to the next goal. We're on to the next thing. And that's even something with moves before announcements. And it's kind of like a gift and a curse because it can be looked at as very stoic. Like you just said earlier, as far as social media, we announce. everything, right? And we kind of have to as entrepreneurs because now we have the audiences where people will be like, oh, well, they not doing nothing, or I'm not gonna, do business with them because they don't do X, Y, Z. But it's like if I run you my resume, it's like ping, ping, let's go, So, but being able to be cognizant of, how you are as a person before social media, before your company, before even if you work a regular 9 to 5, or just making sure that you want to take that leap of faith and jump out the window and be an entrepreneur. Like who you are as a person, it has to be rooted in what you do.
Got it. Yes. And then we can't talk about entrepreneurship without failures and fears, right? We can talk about that. We can line it up. Failures, fears. Overall, though, we win. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
look forward to no matter what. So
Mm-hmm.
talk to us a little bit about the lessons that you learned along the way, from the things that you failed at, sucked at, didn't go well, however you want to phrase that. Like
Uh,
the grind of the grind, the grime of the grind.
it's a harder grind. If it's one thing that I would always encourage people to do is to get out of that self-made mindset. Everybody that's great has a team. Everybody that's great has a team. Um, and to always know that if you're creating a brand, if you're creating a company, it's bigger than you. You're serving your particular super serve your niche. That's something that I had to realize early. When I first started Incomparable, I had these t-shirts on the website, I had hats, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I wanted to do this vertical integration piece where, watches was the focal point, but we had other things, right? But I quickly realized, just due to our mantra being advance your risk, we wanted just to focus specifically on, our watches and fashion accessories. And as we grow, be able to introduce other things, visually. It's like, oh, you sell that too, as opposed to I sell this with this, right?
Mm,
So, excuse me, being able to be cognizant of that, like failing forward, not being afraid to fail. As an entrepreneur, we are very cautious. I know I am. I'm very cautious with spending, and I'm
mm,
very cautious with being able to see like how is this going to benefit, my brand. And I say that for the next segue, just being able to personally be able to talk to people, have a good approach whenever you're building relationships, and be authentic with that. Like that's why it's a piece of our faith pillars again, like the focus, authenticity, value, and experience. Being authentic and being able to build value with people, or as far as what your product is, that's going to
mm.
build people. That's going to make people be brand loyal to you. Because the main thing that I get is like, oh, I got an Apple Watch, or I got this watch, or I got that. I'm like, well, cool, you can afford 3 Incomparables then, because our price point is at about 150, 160. So okay, we appreciate that. We're trying to get you to collect, not convert. And these are the different types of, that's where the how we talked about with Prolific 42 earlier. Everything has a particular meaning to it, whether it's a watch or whether it's a collection or something like that. You're wearing something that has meaning to it. I'm just not going to tell you this because it's cheaper than the Apple Watch. I'm gonna get to know, what you like as far as like sports or music or, fashion, your favorite artists and stuff like that. Okay, this is inspired by this. Okay, now I can take another look at it. So all those things was important as far as like the failing forward, because
Mhm.
I didn't always have that sharp vision starting out, and that was something that was real important to make sure that you have your business plan, because your business plan is going to be executed by what's on your website, by what you sell, and by how you overall connect with people. So that's
Did
it.
that cost you anything? Because sometimes we don't realize it. Like it cost us something, so we learn the lesson. Is it something that you observed and changed, or did it cost you something so you were forced into the change?
A little bit of both. I always watch. One of the things that I always urge entrepreneurs to do is to be patient and pay attention. Being patient is knowing that if success come fast to you, it's gonna leave you just as quick. So be patient, and that's something that I had to instill in myself. Because I'm like, dude, I own the only black doctor-owned watch brand in the whole country. What do you mean? You telling me you got an Apple Watch? So I had to be like that would be how I would think, initially. But being able to do that research, like, okay, because I used to own before I started in Compo, but that was more for steps, for exercising, for things like that. So you able to look at what that need is and how we can carve that niche to super serve, our niche. to pretty much meet that need. You had a second half of that, and I want to make sure I answered it. What'd you say?
Which part? So
Um,
your fears, your failures, that
you
part.
want to know what? If we talk about failures, like we just got I know we're gonna probably talk a little bit about it later, but we just got a deal with Shop Essence, so you can get exclusive incomparables on shopessence.com. And that just started this week. So being able to be, that looks like it's something, clap, clap, platform, all that every day, stars born, work a hope, all that good stuff, right? But there's a certain I won't give a name, but there's a certain group that's in Houston that we've been pre-nominated for awards and whatnot, and we can't get our foot in the door. We can't get our foot in, for whatever reason. I don't know if it's nepotism, I don't know if it's whatever, but we're always invited to apply. But whenever we get the actual correspondence from said company a little bit later on, and this happened within the same time frame as Essence, and I'm like, you have to be cognizant of your failures. You have to be cognizant of just being patient, just knowing when your time comes, when that trajectory builds, it's nothing that can stop it. It's nothing that can stop it. I get really excited whenever I see people that do business with Incomparable and then they come back to do business with Incomparable. Like we have another point you can draw upon your question. Um, when I worked in wireless, back in the days before cell phones cost $1,200, $1,300, you would get a deal when you started your 2-year contract, right? So you get your first deal, but then if your phone messes up within the first year, or if your new phone comes out and it's before your upgrade time, you got to pay full price. I was like, how can I make sure that my Incomparable community doesn't feel that way? So what we do is we have a 10% off every time that you buy your first Incomparable, get an exclusive discount code, and then I send you an email where you can get, or a text, and you can get 10% off for limited time for your second Incomparable. So it's those little things that teach you, from what you've
We
learned in
see
the
you.
past, right? To have that, to build that type of loyalty, with your fan base. So it's dope.
Mm-hmm. Whew. So I'm hoping the people who are tuning in, whether you're tuning in on Apple later on down the line, HOH radio,
Yes, sir.
Spotify, that you're getting these nuggets and you're hearing this. This is real talk, real journey. Now let's pull Incomparable to the side a little bit. You were building this brand while working on a doctorate. First of all, like I just the thought with me being a business owner and the thought of trying to go back to get a doctorate, I'm like, who, what, me, why, and who, and where. But
You
you were
better speak
doing these
it.
things simultaneously. And then, of course, a story entered the scene. So not only that, so you're navigating being a first time dad.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm going to repeat,
Mm-hmm.
building a business and working on a doctorate. What was that like?
A grind. A grind.
Yeah.
Um, my son was born the first semester of my doctoral program. So, and we're 4 days apart. So I'm like, I'm gonna have a little me, like for real, like 4 days apart. I'm gonna have a boy, but being able to balance, it gave me a bit more of a fire because it's like I can't fail. Like I got somebody, like like how parents tend to say, I do this for my kid. Like that's really, who for building generational wealth, I really want for my son to have Incomparable, to do whatever he wants to do with Incomparable when he gets older, because he loves watching. So once I figured that out, I'm like, damn, this has to work. This has to work. And when he was born, a month later, I went through Hurricane Harvey. So I lost all my stuff from Hurricane Harvey. And the week before Hurricane Harvey, his grandmother passed away. So his mom's mom passed away. So and I'm already like in the middle of my first semester. I'm already finishing up my market research to start up in Compo the following year, et cetera, et cetera. And these things happen. It's just more so making it to the next day. It's just like with business, it's just being patient, and using. I use the fire of being a first time dad to really hone in on business to really, and I would say with being an entrepreneur, and I kind of have this like this rest and relaxation and reflection thought earlier. Coming from hip hop, I used to sell CDs at the trunk of my car. I used to, we sold sneakers, we sold, we sold the shirts, we sold all of those things, right? But when you have an offspring that's looking at you to provide that looks just like you, that has your mannerisms, that it's an innate feeling that you have to win. Like you have to, make sure that you lay the foundation, for him to not necessarily to have the type of what's the word I want to use? To have the type of to have the option to not work for anybody else when he gets older. It's bigger than you at this point. So all of those things and culminate into, Encompass's growth. It's just you want to make it so he's proud of you when he gets older. Like my dad does this. Like that's more fulfilling than pretty much everything that I do in Encompass. So it's all dope. It ended up taking the negative, go to a positive.
Yeah. So did that make your mantra of legacies live forever real? Like for real, for real?
It did. Legacies Live Forever actually started as my initial hip hop label when I had an album previously called Chasing History, and one of none. I have a complete discography, and that's always at the bottom. But it took for Incomparable to grow how it's growing, for people to be like, oh, that legacy's there forever. And being a father, like, oh, he really means what he says with that. So being able to culminate that was another piece that made me be more inspired to make it a entrepreneurship meets educational creative brand, because you want to prepare, Black Generation Z's or whatever they're going to call it the next, particular 15 to 20 years, to have a platform to, one, receive scholarship money, and two, just be able to see somebody that comes from where they come from, that give back to them authentically, know that we did it. So that's it.
So much. It's so much. So
Little
in
bit.
terms so if you had to choose popularity or purpose slash greatness, what are you
Mm.
choosing and why?
I'm choosing purpose every time. With even with Legacies Live Forever, trends fade and legacies live. So with popularity that fades, right? And with purpose, that's gonna stick. That's gonna stick from generation. It's kind of like learning to tie your shoes, learning how to ride a bike,
Yes.
learning how to tie a tie. You never forget, the steps that it takes you to get, to greatness. It's one of the things why we always, I would say, why we idolize Nipsey Hussle in his demise more so than him being alive, right? Because we as black, it was just black people in general, we identify with the marathon. We identify with running your own race. We identify with power walking. You tired as ever. Like, I want to quit. I wanted to quit my doctorate every week until I finished. Every week until it was a grind. And with USC, I was one of 6 black people in the program, in my cohort, in the program. The only one that was from where I was from, and I was one of the younger people that was in the program. So being able to have that, as far as like, okay, run your race, run your race. You're doing this for a specific reason, and it was an accelerated program. I graduated in 2.5 years instead of 4.5, or whatever. So having those things, as far as that purpose, you can't take that dissertation away from me. Period. So
Period. And what was your dissertation in, real quick?
the lack of African American male student retention and evaluation study and perspectives by academic advisors. And I did that particular title. I used to be an academic advisor. But even just before that, I was when I went to WM, my alma mater, not to be confused UW Madison, we're like the little sister in Milwaukee.
So what is
I know
that? So University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee?
Milwaukee.
Is that okay?
hmm
Okay.
I had an advisor that told me, she was Puerto Rican. She was like, if you weren't such a knucklehead, I know that you smart, you could finish school, and I was just knee deep in the music, just knee deep in apparel, and school had my attention. Like, I graduated high school with a 3.4, so school had my attention, but it wasn't. I was in that young knucklehead stage, and when I dropped out and before I went back, I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to that, but not right now. Not right now. but I'm gonna keep it in my head. This is gonna give me the fuel I need to finish up, the fuel I need to graduate. And I was that student that was on academic probation because I really didn't try. Like I was a person that was like, oh, you mean to tell me we don't gotta go to class? Like you remember them classes we did where like they don't take attendance, it's 300-400 people in the lecture hall, you only gotta show up for test day. That was me.
Oh no, I went to Grambling. We had small, very personal classes. They knew my name, but still, yes.
No, those are those discussion groups. We had those too. Those are those discussion groups.
Oh, that's what
And
you're doing? Okay.
no. That's what we called them at home. We called them the
Oh,
smaller classes were discussion groups, and the big ones were lecture.
oh, God. Thought you was
When
being messy.
we had no. We love it. That's probably my only regret from my educational background was I didn't get to go to an HBCU. I did my research at a HBCU for my doctorate, but I didn't get to go to one.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I know, but I still wanted to go. You know, that community, that's just y'all homecomings be real. Like y'all rivalries are real. Like who was your rival? Is it Southern?
Southern, yes. Now,
Oh, I
if
hate
we ever get back to a real for real homecoming, you're invited. We'll invite you. We'll see how you act.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that. You know,
yeah.
I got my get out of jail for free card, my He's for Real
Hmm.
Black card. I appreciate that. But being able to backtrack to really have that inspiration for my dissertation title, that was something that gave me the fuel to keep on going. Like when I got accepted to my doctoral program, I actually reached out to my former advisor and was like, I got in. This is that. Like she cried. She was like, because I remember what it took for you to get here, and I know that you're going to do it on your own terms. I know that you're going to do it and inspire other people that look like you, and it's going to be authentic. And she remembered what she said. Like I remembered you being a knucklehead, but I knew you was going, finish that up. So it becomes bigger than you at that point.
Oh, Toya Walk said no new friends.
None, none. You know what?
No, we're
I'm
talking
glad.
about the HBCU. These are
I,
HBCU.
I get it. I get it. Y'all judging my life. That's okay. But it's gonna be somebody at the HBCU party at the homecoming with a comparable on. So I'm gonna be there in spirit. Matter of fact, my son's mom went to a HBCU, so she gives me grief.
Get it how
Oh,
you can. Get it
she
how you can.
went to that PWI.
Oh, wait a
And
minute. Here we go. What would you
I,
say to this generation that are unwavering? It says, I have a, i.e., I have a plan and don't want to deviate. That ain't what I want to do or how I want it to happen. Also, what advice would you give them on how to handle situations, especially when things don't go the way they planned, how they thought it would go, or life simply happens? This is loaded. What words
ooh,
or nuggets would you give to help this new generation? So process that.
that's all right. Those some good loaded
Thank you,
questions.
Tamika. No, thank you. That's real, real talk.
That's some good dialogue on purpose. I have a plan on one of these days, and I get that often. Honestly, I get that often from more so stubborn and bullheaded individuals, and I'm honest with them with those particular titles because that's the type of attitude that they tend to exude when it comes to I want to be successful, but I want to be successful this particular way. I'm like, I ask them like, who's your favorite artist, and a lot of times I get Jay Z, a lot of times I get Drake. And I tell them about Jay Z, like Jay Z didn't come out with his first album until he was 26. He got looked over by specific labels until he turned this particular age and he built his own. Even with building your own, you still have to take tenets from other people's marketing aspects, the areas of knowing your numbers and being successful. You still have to take those things and apply them to your business. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful, or you're going to drain your mind when you finally reach that plateau where you're not going to be able to give your full self when being successful. You can't match stubborn with success. Sacrifice comes before success in the dictionary. So that'll be that piece. Um, how I would give them advice as far as how to handle situations if things don't go the way they plan. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. I stress this. No, you can't look at somebody in year 5 and year 10 of their business, and you look at yourself in year 1 and year 2 of yours, and just think that you're supposed to be, neck and neck. That's not something that happens all the time. Even with the internet, you get, all this readily, available information. That's what's so dope about, this particular generation. Like 5, 10, 15 years ago, you didn't have, Google wasn't as extensive. We had Yahoo. Google wasn't as extensive as far as being able to, find pertinent information for what you want to do. Um, as far as being able to handle said situations, like I said, like be patient, or how they thought it would go, or life simply happened. When life happens, you adapt to it. When life happens, you adapt to it, and you be thankful for those problems. Every single BS thing that I went through before Incomparable, I'm thankful for it because it helped make me the person that I am. It helped make my company, grow, as far as, how it's growing. Right now, like I said, we're in 40 plus states, 3 countries, got the partnership with Essence, all that good stuff. So being able to be thankful for those things, because without those roadblocks, you might not take your successes as serious. Um, Particular words, right? Like that's so important. That's because you have to be, grateful for, the every single accolade that you receive, but you can't rest on those accolades. You not it because you either you're gonna be humble or God's gonna humble you. I'm a man of faith, so be humble or God's gonna humble you, and that can be anything from business acumen. Success means nothing if you have nobody to share it with. Just whether it's your squad, or your partners. You never belittle the people. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make sure I don't forget this. You never belittle the people that you came up with. You never belittle you. And as you know, Shuli Gibb, with being a business owner, you're always able to tell the difference between authentic congratulations and fake love. And with this new generation, you always have to be cognizant of that fake love, and do not apply that to your business. Do not apply that to your energy, and always just keep, good people around you, and always keep people that are better than you around you as well, because that's how you grow.
Well said. You addressed that. You address that. Help us all with all of this. This is great information. I call this phase ignorance on fire, because you have the passion and you want to do it. You have that fire, but there's still so much more that you have to learn, and you drop those nuggets. They can learn it. So, Tamika Lachey, pass that on to your people. Share this interview on your page. Uh, Go back and watch it again on YouTube. She has something else. Oh, she says, Tamika Lachey said, "This generation is not patient because this things are readily available and they are used to things being at the tips of their fingers." Yes.
I agree, but
Yeah.
that's not going to make success be imminent for you. Just because you have that matter of fact, that should make you even be more accountable to even be more meticulous towards being successful, because you don't have to go through different channels to figure out what's readily available on Google and YouTube. So there's certain ways to use, like we talked about earlier with social media. There's certain ways to use social media to pretty much build the platform, for your business. It's never been an easier time to start a company, like with trademarks, with LLCs, with accesses to, how to have, insurance to get bid, like those different things that have the foundation for your business. That's readily available for you too. And if you
Yes.
look over that, you're not going to be successful.
Whew. Asan Taylor said, "Great response."
Thank you, Taylor.
Toya Walk said, "Great nuggets." As we
Thank you.
get ready to get out of here, first of all, tell the people, we've dropped your website. We'll drop it again, but tell them how to connect with you on social. Let's move this.
Social media at Being Comparable. That's your favorite social media platform. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you do TikTok, we just started a TikTok page. On YouTube, Being Comparable, all that good stuff. So you can find us at Being Comparable. Definitely text Incomparable. That's NCMPRBL to 72599 to join the Incomparable Life. And our website, incomparable.com, to get free worldwide shipping on every single Incomparable. And, welcome to the Incomparable Life ahead of time.
All right, now tell us about this Essence win real quick. Because, I mean, it sounds like you're winning. You've taken those failures and you've turned them into wins.
Wins. You think so? I always tell people, all I know is the struggle, all you see are the wins. So, with Essence, they actually reached out to Incomparable earlier this summer, and I thought it was straight like, like this ain't like Essence, like this is. So I had to, look with my partners and be like, yeah, this is okay. ShopEssence.com. So basically, what we do is we have a few partnerships, but specifically with Essence. We have specific watches that we make sure that they have on the website. To look us up, the accessories, just type in Incomparable, and that helps to bolster, the website traffic. And when they reached out to us, they were like, "We're in love with your brand. We love what you do. You really speak to and for the culture. You will be a perfect fit. Even though with Shop Essence, typically it's a women-driven website as far as like the accessories, the clothing, purses, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to make sure that our women's collection was on point. So being able to have like the women's and the unisex pieces, and even with men, because obviously, women have days. So being able to make sure that we have, us taken care of as well on the site, and having just a fruitful partnership. And those things all come with, earlier she talked about, not being patient and having everything ready to be available at their fingers. We wouldn't have gotten that partnership if our business wasn't taken care of. If we didn't have an EIN number and UPC codes and trademarks and LLCs, W-9s, all the things that you don't want to do when you own a company, but that wouldn't have, come into fruition. So we're definitely grateful, for Shop Essence, and you can find some exclusive and comparable that you won't see on thecomparable.com at shopessence.com. So pretty dope.
Oh, nice. So some special things.
Ma'am,
I
yes,
love
ma'am.
it. Well, congratulations to you. And like you said, there's definitely struggle there, but we see the wins and we appreciate you putting in the work, right? To rise above so much that we can say about where you are going and where you've come from. Your story is definitely powerful, and my prayer is that it inspires someone who's listening, who is at this point of decision, if you will, and they find
Mm-hmm.
themselves, dealing with adversity, and they can listen to your story and think, wow, he did this, he rose above all this, I can do it. Because it's all about fear to freedom
Mm-hmm.
conversation. We will always have fears, right?
Yes,
But in order to walk in your freedom, you must move, you must be prayerful, and you must be resilient. And again, your relentless pursuit has inspired us. And again, hats off to you.
surely, thank you. Surely, thank you. Appreciate you. All love on purpose. Oh, one more thing before I leave, and before we end this, and before all these good things, I don't want y'all mad when y'all see it on TV. We have a partnership with Shark Discovery, which is Kevin Harrington, who's the CEO of Shark Tank. We have a commercial that'll be launching. I want to first people know about it. It'll be launched November 1st.
Oh,
It'll
wow.
be on. It'll be on 10 different markets. It'll be on 10 different channels throughout the holiday season. So y'all be able to see Incomparable on your TV screen and all those dope vibes to go over and share with Incomparable.com. So that type of marketing aspect of, okay, you partnered with this particular crowd and this particular crowd with Essence and all of that. So those, it's all planning and strategic planning and possibly strategizing. So
All right. Thank you for this Fear to Freedom Master class. You just keep hitting us with these wins. And with that said, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to jump on over to our Fear to Freedom group here on Facebook. We have conversations to inspire you, and follow us on Instagram. We have a new page popping off. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Look for us, Speak It with Shuli, and you're going to have this episode ready for you to just go back and listen again. And until next time, make sure you go out and speak it.